Welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. This is Phillip Mountrose with my colleague and co-host Gretchen Comer. We're spiritual coaches, healers, guides. We love to reach into the vast spiritual realms, bring them down to earth in a practical way to help our challenged world, which we'll be exploring in today's theme, which is elevate our perspectives on ourselves and our reality. And if you're wondering what we're talking about here, well, it's looking at energy and energy now in this time that we're live, which is late summer, going into fall shortly, using that energy and exploring our own inner worlds and the energies on the planet to help raise the vibration, which we usually do here, right, Gretchen, in the circle.
Right.
And it's a challenging time, an enlightening time. It's sometimes called a meta crisis, multiple crises in the climate, the justice, cultural divisions, many divisions, spiritual divisions. And we're going to include, as we usually do, an oracle reading and a meditation today. And we want to thank you for joining us and being here with us, emissaries of love and light. We come here every week, usually with my wife and partner leading Jane Mountrose, and Gretchen is often with us. We help people heal, grow, stand up, be a beacon of light. I wanted to kind of breathe that in for a moment. And just make sure we're grounded and ready to elevate our perspectives if they're not already elevated. And if they are, we can elevate them even further, right, Gretchen?
Absolutely.
So interestingly, the topic of the late summer here that we're in is in Chinese medicine was a transitional period, a separate season, late summer, between the expansive energies of spring and summer, and then more contractive energies coming up here in fall and winter, and sort of in between, sort of the pendulum in the middle. So it was often suggested to be a time of digestion and reflection, going within. So what are your thoughts, some of your thoughts, Gretchen, on elevating our perspective?
Sure, absolutely. I think it's interesting to bring in the nature element with the seasons, because this is the time we're going into is the time of harvest. So it's generally an end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. And we are essentially harvesting those things that we have planted, back in the spring. And we may have made an intention. Some of us may have made an intention back in the spring. And so now we're basically harvesting those things that we have sown symbolically. And for me, though, to elevate my perspective, I think this is a great time of year to do that, because as we're harvesting, we're also reflecting on where we've been and how far we've come, as well as where we're going. And for me, to elevate my perspective, I believe, is to just become more aware, just to raise my awareness to a different level. It's about paying attention to the little things. Jane and I had a great conversation about this, and I have a quick example. My father is 93 years old, and the house that he lives in is owned by the city's hospital. They've been renting houses for years, and they need more space. The hospital needs more space, and so they're actually going to be demolishing all of the houses on the street that he lives on, and he has a very short window of time to find a new place to live. And my immediate thought was, those darn hospital people, why are they displacing people? But what we realized is my sisters and I really want my father in a better place. So the universe is providing something for us to use as an opportunity. So bringing my awareness to not why are these people displacing, families out of their homes, but rather this is a good opportunity. So part of our understanding of elevating a perspective can be about bringing more awareness to what's really possible. And it's about also paying attention to the little things and not sweating the things that we can't control. So not sweating the small stuff is a big one for me, and helping to elevate my perspective. And so now this is actually a good opportunity for us, to find my father a better place to be. And I thought, why am I getting upset about this when I don't really want him in this house anymore anyway? He needs to be in a place that's easier for him to navigate and doesn't have staircases and things like that. So if we can just push a little beyond our reaction and really look at the response we could have, I think that helps considerably, just to help raise our awareness and be grateful for that opportunity to come along and show us that it's actually better. The universe isn't conspiring against us. It actually wants us to succeed. So for me, that's really about it. It's about raising awareness and not sweating the small stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a great story too. Yeah, there's so many times that what seems like a setback turns into an opportunity.
Right.
And
Right.
and I think elevating our perspective, as you pointed out, is not reacting.
Right.
That automatic, and sometimes it's called contracting. I'm reading a book, Andrew Holochek's Reverse Meditation book, and basically when we're not actually contracting in a way that we have to protect ourselves, that aside, because there's sometimes where we have to go within and protect ourselves from an actual danger, not a versus an imagined one, which most of them are. But most of the contractions, like you're saying, is a very automatic pulling back, resisting what is. And it can be very subtle or pretty obvious. And once you just know you're doing that and realize that you want to change that, that's maybe the first step in elevating your perspective, just being aware of it, and maybe even before that, intending to elevate your perspective.
Right. And I think, yeah, there's a part of it too that has an emotional component, because immediately I was in this more of an emotional place. I reacted with some anger. The man's 93. Why are you kicking him out of his house?
Right.
That's a realistic piece to it, but that's not exactly what's happening. So being able to pull back and becoming a little more aware of the full scope of what's going on also helps, fully understanding that part. So.
Right. Yeah, it's sometimes like a little bit of a dance and a little bit of a juggling act to try to figure out what's going on and dealing with sometimes difficult circumstances. And sometimes they can be very extreme and harsh and horrible cruelties and injustices. And it's hard to understand them from our level where we're vulnerable, we have physical needs and conditions, and if they're being violated or challenged, it can be very difficult. But I think that's where seeing it from a big perspective is perhaps the best survival skill you can have. Because even if you need yourself to get out of actual danger, then you want to be clear-headed and clear-eyed. You want to breathe and relax. In fact, speaking of oracle cards, the one I drew before this was an interesting card from Catherine Skaggs' Masters of Light, Wisdom of Oracle deck, which I had never done before. It's a divine mother image called the Mother Breath of Life, breathing. And so much of life cycle is just continuing to breathe and figuring out how we can breathe and take that in a very wonderful way, figure out a way, if need be, to adapt and survive, or if need be, to elevate, to create, to enjoy, to have more love and peace. What can I do in this moment? Here's a good question. What can I do in this moment besides react?
Right. Right. If we can stop and breathe, just take a moment to pause and breathe. It is so transformational. It is amazing how much it will shift our thinking, to a different place. So yeah, that's a beautiful card.
That is a nice card. Recently, I wrote a blog in our website, gettingthrough.org/holistic. The blog was how to participate in the Great Awakening. And I'll draw with on a couple of things I wrote there, since they're sort of good notes, and if you have to write something, you usually have to kind of think about it and get clear on your awareness. And we've talked a little bit about it already. And one of it is dealing with, I sort of said jokingly, the fine mess we've gotten ourselves into. This is a nice mess we've gotten ourselves into. Do you know what that's referring to, Gretchen?
I've heard this saying before, but I think it's probably,
The origin of it is Oliver and Hardy, who were a famous amusing comic duel in silent films and then early speaking films. And the stories would be where the thin guy, Laurel, would get in messes. He would do a lot of these accidental things, like they'd be
Right.
repairing something and he'd try to do something and then something would collapse and then they'd have to fix that. And then it would be a chain of mishaps and carelessness. And then everything would be in array and awry. And Hardy would say, he was a big guy, he'd say, "Here's another fine mess you've gotten me into, Laurel." And I say that kind of laughing because that's sort of our plight of our world today. We've gotten ourselves in a fine mess because of our carelessness and lack of awareness, and just the way things are. Like one thing leads to the next. The good thing is we can be intentional and get ourselves out of it. And one of the things is following your heart too, is that generating the impulses from your heart, what that means, what's it telling you, the deeper desires of your heart.
Yeah, I enjoy that you're saying it this way too, because I think there is a level, if we can bring lightheartedness to it like that, and just a little bit of humor. It doesn't have to be humorous. I mean, life is challenging. You know, we do go through real challenges that are realistic, but the approach of our attitude, you know, along with being grateful for what we're receiving, but also to keep a lighthearted approach, I think is wonderful. It changes the energy, the heaviness of the energy we're trying to shift.
And in that vein, Mark Twain's quote to just approximate it, "I've suffered many horrible things in my life, most of which never happened."
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
That's good.
our imagination, most of these things that we worry about, and that's again, starting to monitor your thoughts. Like, what am I, thinking? Is this making any sense? Is this useful thinking? Is this positive thinking? Is it helpful? It's not. Why, and just starting to let it go. And of course, we do EFT tapping and other energy healings in our trainings and our courses and so forth, and to get clear of that agitation, that interference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. It really is, again, it comes back to being aware, being aware of it so we can shift it in that moment. We don't have to wait. That's what's so interesting about a lot of what we hold on to is we act like we have to find a formal time to shift that energy, when actually we could do it very quickly in the moment with some really easy processes. So I love the ease of it. And again, that makes it lighthearted, that makes it easier and more lighthearted. Like, it doesn't have to be this heavy, dense work. It can just be something that is enjoyable, dare I say, enjoyable to do that kind of healing work. So
right. And Heart Math Institute calls it heart intelligence, and you're much more resilient and you make better decisions. It helps your health, your longevity. Clearly, if you're lighthearted and enjoying things, even amidst challenges, you're going to be doing much better than if you're fearful and having a lot of negative thoughts recycling. And some of that may lead to clearing even karma, some things that are telling you like, hey, here's some stuff I came here to actually clear. Some of them may be deeper recurring patterns too. So it's a clue to things that could be very helpful. Another lever, another tool before we go into our reading and meditation here shortly, is viewing your life purpose, which we talk about a lot at Awakenings Institute, our nonprofit organization. Your life purpose, remember the thing you're here to do? You remember that one? Oh, or you maybe haven't figured it out. Sooner or later, it does become very important, right? And when you start to get a sense of how you're going to harness your gifts and abilities, things you're good at, things that you'd like to help other people with, and devote yourself more to that, even if it's part-time, even if you don't do it in your quote job, it's something you are focused on that may be more important than your job, or maybe your job or that you're getting paid for, or will be in the future. So your purpose, the point here, elevating your perspective, coming back around, is your purpose can be viewed as your service. Your purpose is your service. So you could look at yourself. Who's yourself? What's he talking about? Yourself is your soul coming through your senses, your body. Use yourself and your thoughts and feelings as an instrument that you're here incarnated to use. What for? To help yourself and other people. And how do you do that? Well, you stay present, you stay open to your heart, and you get information and clues and your next step every moment.
Yeah, lovely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's lots of ways to shift, that way of thinking too, when we're getting kind of stuck and we need to elevate our perspective. I think there's lots of different ways we can shift that very quickly in the moment. I like to go outdoors. I take a walk outdoors, and that helps tremendously. And again, I'm also becoming more aware of kind of the natural rhythms of nature. I'm more aware of, we're transitioning now from late summer into fall here this month. And again, we're being able to see that in physical form, by leaves on the trees. In our area in Virginia, the leaves on the trees change. And, in the Northern Hemisphere, we experience the colder nights and the cool days. And all of that is kind of wrapping up the height of the energy. And so walking outdoors is a really good way to help us kind of reduce any charge we may have when we've reacted and not responded. And it's a great way to shift our perspective. So, right.
Yeah, like meditation or meditations that work for you, going outdoors in nature is sort of the all-purpose helper. If you're down, it will help you balance and come up. If you're up, it'll just elevate you and keep you in a wonderful place.
Right. And if I'm calm, if I'm in that grounded state, I'm going to be following the path of my life purpose more succinctly. I'm not going to be going off on these tangent paths that don't keep me aligned with what's going on. I'm going to be more aware. I'll have elevated my awareness a little bit with it. It's also, to me, good self-care to be able to bring that awareness and to know this is straying from where I should be in my life path. I'm getting further away from my life purpose. So doing something like walking outdoors is a really regenerative thing. It's free for most people.
Right.
It's always there for us. So, and by following that natural rhythm of this time of year and reflecting on what we've planted and what we're harvesting, again, brings us all back to understanding that life path that we've chosen and that we're on. So.
Right. Well, shall we draw an oracle card to help us elevate our perspectives on ourselves and
Absolutely.
our reality? Okay.
I'm ready.
You're ready? Okay. So
ready.
I'm shuffling a deck in one of our favorite decks, Sacred Destiny, Denise Lynn. And again, the intent, the question is the topic du jour of today, elevating ourselves and our reality. So I'm just randomly shuffling the deck and pulling out a card. He knows not which, because this works intuitively, as you'll find out. And the card is, this is one that, I have a story behind this card.
Ooh, that's a great card. I love
Thriving. This particular card, I use this deck pretty regularly, the Sacred Destiny deck.
Me too.
Yeah, I've probably used it in the last maybe two weeks. I'd estimate. I'd have to go back to my notes, maybe every 3 days. So this is probably, I would say, in the last 2 weeks, the fourth time I've used it.
Interesting.
Here's the more interesting part. Every time I've drawn this card, 4 times in a row. I mean, when I say that, I almost can't believe what I told you, but I mean, that's why I'm sort of a little speechless getting this card again.
Sure.
I'm very familiar with this card.
Important message then. Very important message. Right?
Yeah. And it seems to work. Sometimes I've gotten it when I'm in an upstate, and sometimes I've gotten it when I'm in sort of a downstate. And in this case, we're just sort of a neutral question, I would say. So So there's a giraffe on a savanna plain where it's barren. And the idea of thriving, according to the card's message, which is, I always have this memorized, is it's thriving when and adapting when things are difficult, finding creative solutions, finding ways to survive, like that baobab. It's a tree that survives in the desert. Actually, it has a fruit that you can get a superfood powder from it. Be like the giraffe, elevate your perspective, I guess. So, okay. So that's the, before I do get a card to channel on it, comments or questions from you, Gretchen?
No, I think the symbology or the symbolism of that particular card is really beautiful because that tree is a source of nourishment for so many animals in the savannah. And without it, they would not thrive. So I think it's symbolic of finding those things that help us thrive, those things that are around us in our natural environment that can help us thrive. And that might be people, it might be job opportunities, it might be a love interest, it might be finding your life purpose and following it. Those are all things that can help us thrive. So I think it's a beautiful card because it shows that even in the most challenging of life situations like the savannah for so many animals, there's still an ability to thrive. So I think it's just beautiful, especially with the imagery there, you know. And
yeah, it's a beautiful card with beautiful imagery throughout. And to just follow up before we do our meditation, let me go to another one of our favorite decks, Keepers of the Light, where they have different ascended masters and higher beings. I'll draw one of the cards and get kind of a message or a channel a message from one of these cards of a master. See what master wants to come in. Yeah, I've gotten her a couple times recently too. Kuan Yin. Kuan
nice.
Yin. So some feminine energy,
Mhm.
care and compassion. The tagline is choose to be love, do what is right for everyone involved, offer a helping hand. Kuan Yin.
Be in service.
Be of service. Your purpose is your service. So let's see what I get from Kuan Yin here. And then we'll do a meditation to go further even with it. Yes, from a higher perspective, indeed, all is love, all is one. Yet from your, quote, lower perspective, everything is differentiated and sometimes fragmented and in disarray. The solution? Yes, the breathing will help. Breathing in the love, breathing in purity, going back to the source with the breath, realizing that you are much more than your body or your thoughts or your feelings. Indeed, you are love, even amidst all the ignorance and hatred and warfare that is around you. There is still within, if you go behind the surface, a source of love, which offers you the free will to choose even the destruction that so many people choose. But you can do better. You can know better. You can be better now. And this is all here for the moment from your heart within. You can know it. However suffering you may be experienced, you can still feel or sense the love within to guide you and to energize you for a better world, for yourself and for others. We love you dearly. Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin. Okay, so that was our
She's one of my favorites.
channelings. And that will take us to a meditation, just a brief meditation to just kind of take this into our hearts and our beings. And if you'd like, if you're in a place where you can safely close your eyes, that's a good thing usually to do. As we have our thriving, we have our Kuan Yin support, breathing in, relaxing your body as your breath goes in, exhaling, releasing, breathing in again, pure, clear energy, exhaling, releasing what you no longer need. Good. Letting your body relax even more with every breath you take. Very good. And as you become more relaxed, becoming more centered, you breathe in more love and energy into your heart. And this energy in your heart can take you from surviving to thriving, from getting by to seeing opportunities that will excite you and uplift you and connect you with higher energies and vibrations. It might be in the breathing itself that takes you upward. It might be in a sound or some music. It might be in nature, walking in nature. It may be doing things you love. It might be such things as researching or art or helping others, teaching. Just allow things that you love to come into your memory and to make you feel better, and know that you have given a lot and have much more to give and receive now in the moment. And Gretchen, if you're picking up something or would like to share, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I really feel the presence of Kuan Yin still with us here, and I feel like she's often represented by water or water lilies, which are also the lotus. And I think that's a really important piece, is the water is fluidity. It's allowing our emotions to flow. And I think that's part of the message that she's bringing forth today, is if we can just flow with the natural flow of the universe, if we can just allow things to unfold like a lotus, just gently and softly, and to remind us that no matter where we are, the lotus is such a beautiful symbol of growing from kind of the muck that's at the bottom of a pond or a swamp.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it needs to actually grow. And we too need that. We need to be able to rise to a higher perspective from the muck in our life, from the mud that might be in our life. And so she's saying, flow with it, come up to the fresher water at the top, come up where we can bloom together. So it's about flow and blooming is what I keep seeing images of while we're in this meditation
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think that would continue with the theme of thriving, flow, and blooming.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So see yourself flowing, blooming, thriving, going where the positive energy is, doing what you can with what you have in this moment now, being guided by an open heart, opening your mind to more possibilities. And where you are challenged and struggle, just pause and reflect and breathe in some inner resources from your soul, from higher input and information, such as this show, this information that we're sharing today, and other resources that you have available. Let that support and guide and nurture you with Kuan Yin's beautiful, loving energy, like a flower, like a lotus blooming in your mind and your heart, spreading out to the whole world. And with that inner peace growing comes more love and creativity as well. More opportunities and possibilities to manifest more loving world, realizing higher possibilities now. Gretchen, would you like to add anything before we close?
I'm just feeling a tremendous sense of love from her. Just beautiful energy, just letting us, reminding us that we're very loved, we're very, very appreciated. And even in those times we may not feel it ourselves, she just wants to remind us that, they do know of our struggle. All of the ascended masters like Kuan Yin know of our struggle. And they're just sending us so much love right now. It's just what I'm sensing, is just being held carefully, and a lot of love energy coming through.
Mm-hmm. Right. We signed up for all the challenges as well as the love, truth, and beauty that we're exploring and developing. So you can remember what you wish from this about thriving and loving and blooming and flowing and more. You can let go of anything you don't want, remove it. You can get ready to open your eyes as I count back up to 5. 1, 2, ready to come back, remembering what you want. 3, going to be very refreshed. 4 and 5, opening your eyes back in the room, more elevated with your perspective while grounded with your feet below you.
You know, that's an interesting concept too, because the lotus is rooted in soil or the muck and mud that's at the
Right.
bottom of a pond. So it really is a connection between the earthly element and the higher realms. You know, we really are. It's a great symbol of that. And it's something that does die back like we do in the natural rhythms of the earth. You know, in the winter time, that's the time to go within, and it's the earth is slumbering. But this is aligning us. It's a great symbol for her to bring today, because it's aligning us with and reminding us that we are also that lotus. We're connected. You know, we're rooted as much as we are blooming up towards the heavens. So just beautiful symbolism. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. She
It
has
is
such beautiful
beautiful.
energy.
She is. Yeah, that was great. Yeah. And welcome Sharon and Nikki, by the way. We say hello and send love your way, and others who are listening now or on the replay. So that's great. So we are getting close to the closing time here. And I wanted to see if Gretchen, if you wanted to mention anything about how people can go further and connect with you.
Sure, that's wonderful. Thank you, Philip. Yeah, so people can connect with me here on Facebook under Gretchen Comer or Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services. My website, where it has a list of all of a comprehensive list of all of my services, is spiraljourney.net. And I'd love people to stop by. I have a page of free offerings, including a wonderful free book by the Mountroses available on my website, all about love, and can't ever have too much of that. So, and I just want to say, I think that thriving is that energy. The undercurrent is love. You know, we can't thrive without the love in the universe. So, sending love to everybody today.
Yes, we are sending love. And for people who are interested, we are having an upcoming holistic coaching and healing program, which Gretchen took a while back and others are joining. And if that interests you to go deep into these kind of topics and learning a lot of tools and knowledge, go to our website. Shortened URL is tinyurl.com/HOL-coach. tinyurl.com/HOL-coach. It's HOL coach, yeah. And you'll find out there. And we do have actually a free gift too. If you want a resource kit for light workers and spiritual healers, that's at tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit, tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit for the free kit. Anyways, we can change the world as we like to do. Just breathe in changing the world, just seeing the world elevating its perspective in the meta crisis and transcending above it, breathing in and accepting, thriving, flowing, blooming like that lotus in Kuan Yin's beautiful help and love. And if you'd like to support this circle of light and love, follow this page, share it with this video and other videos with your friends, invite friends to join us here. We're live at 9 a.m. Sundays, Pacific time, 9 a.m. We hope to see you then. So any other parting comments, any final words from you, Gretchen?
Just sending love to everybody today. I hope they have a wonderful week. What a great way to start the week today.
Yeah, great.